Hey, e-commerce friends. Today I'm very excited for this first show where I interview e-commerce experts, founders, and marketers. Today in the show, I have Mark Zhang, who is a good friend of mine. I met him first in 2016. He was still in the FBA space and then transitioned into Shopify to make himself independent from Amazon. He and his co-founder, Ben, they founded the brand Manta Sleep Mask, which now grew to more than 8 figures in revenue. They have more than 20 employees. The brand has been featured on multiple platforms such as Forbes, the Men's Fitness Journal, and so forth. And in this podcast, we are talking about not only his branding idea, his product idea, his positioning, but we also talk on a tactical level where we discuss his paid media strategy, also the way they generate user-generated content to help with increasing their conversion rates on their site, and many other tips. If you get anything out of this show, please like, share, and subscribe. Other than that, if you're interested into scaling your e-commerce store via Google Ads, then visit our website. The link you will find below in the show notes, where you can then download a guide where we share our latest tips on growing the store accordingly when you use shopping advertising. All right, now stay tuned and see you in the inside. So hello everyone, and welcome to this very first episode of this format. Today I have my friend Mark on the show. Together with his co-founder Ben, he grew Manta Sleep Mask from a Kickstarter campaign up to into the 8-figure range. During this journey, they faced many challenges, but they also have quite some wins, which Mark is about to share today in this show. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited. First episode. Yay.
That's amazing to hear. Me too, to be honest, and especially having you on the show makes my day today. Without any further ado, I would like to know a little bit more about yourself. Can you tell me about your background? How did you get started into this special journey as an entrepreneur? And what was your beginning into this journey?
So I graduated as an accountant. That was a dream of any Asian parent for their kid to be an accountant. And I worked in the industry for about a year and a half. And I remember in the early days going to work and thinking to myself, every day that I went to work, I thought my soul was dying. And that was what instigated the exploration into entrepreneurship. I've never been really good at taking instructions from people. I like to give out instructions, I suppose. And so these factors combined drove me into entrepreneurship. Although accidentally, I don't have any entrepreneurs in the family. So this was something new. But that's how I got here.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I know your strong mission. You put it out there to be a freedom fighter. And I guess you're on the way to that. And I know you for quite a couple of years, and I remember that you have been trying out a couple of different business models and so forth. Can you tell us a little bit more? How did you get into e-commerce particularly? And how did your journey look like to get into eCom?
Yeah. So when I started, this was many years ago when I was hanging out in Singapore there for a couple of years. I just wanted to kind of get my feet wet, if you will, and start some sort of business. I don't know how to write any code. I didn't have any other skills. And so I thought, what can I do that I can actually, something that I can learn relatively quickly without needing to learn coding or something like that. And I didn't go into writing because I had nothing to talk about. And physical products, e-commerce just seemed like the natural path to go. And I also have I have a fascination with products. One of the things that I enjoy the most these days, working in Manta Sleep is developing products with Ben, my co-founder. It brings me a lot of joy. I like to come up with ideas, play with them, all that. So that's how I got into it. And kind of throughout that journey, how we arrived at Manta Sleep, this was 2014, 2015. We were doing an Amazon business at the time, selling just random products on our Amazon account for the sake of generating more revenue, more cash. But at some point, I think it was in 2016, one day it's just sort of, kind of woke up. We sort of woke up. We didn't wake up together. We weren't sleeping in the same bed, but we kind of got in together and had a chat. And it felt like we were just growing that business for the sake of making more money, which was good at the beginning because I don't know about Ben. He seems pretty baller, but I've been poor for a lot of my early 20s during this entrepreneur journey. So making money was good, but it felt empty and kind of boring. And so we sat down and thought, what can we do here that we're actually passionate about, that we're actually excited about, and that also is a good market to go into. And that's how we arrived at Manta Sleep. I've been a light sleeper for, since I was 15 years old. Been using sleep masks since I was 15 years old, and we always thought we could do something better. And that's how we sort of came about and came to the conclusion of starting Manta Sleep with a Kickstarter campaign.
Yeah, that's amazing. You basically put together your passion for products, and especially for sleep related products, into your own business, and yes, you can earn money at the same time.
Well, that was not a certain thing at the beginning.
Yeah, right.
now we know. Now, fortunately, I think also we're very, very lucky and fortunate to be in the sleep industry, because this is an industry that is a growing pie, right? So,
yeah, and I'm curious to learn a little bit more about Manta Sleep Mask, to be honest. So, you said you were a light sleeper yourself. What is how do your customers look like? Which customers do you serve to? Can you tell us a little bit more about the avatar here?
Right. So the customers, it's more less so about demographic and more about their behavioral. I think it's called psychographic. The unifying factor that ties all of our customers together is that they are light sleepers and they're aware of it and they value it. So we don't target, I'll tell you who we don't target. We don't target people who sleep really well. They don't need a product. We also don't target people who don't realize the importance of sleep. It's a losing battle to try to convince somebody who doesn't care or is not aware about the importance or wanting to improve their sleep actively. It's just a losing battle. And within the context of them being a light sleeper, we have shift workers, we have people suffering from insomnia, we have people who are generally sensitive to light noise, who tend to wake up, have trouble falling asleep, staying asleep. But the unifying factor is that they're light sleepers and they're aware of it. Travelers is when, pre-COVID. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that gives me a clear picture. When you now, when you went to the market, back then, it was quite exotic for me to hear that someone goes into the sleep accessory market and comes up with this very nice mask. Can you tell from your perspective, like, how did you differentiate yourself? What were the USPs, and how did you want to design your messaging around this product when you started out? And what are you doing these days as well to be different in the market?
Yeah, that's a great question. Sorry, I just had to clear my throat. I've been talking with Ben this morning. If this was purely if we purely went to the market based on market research, we would have never done a sleep mask, because even back when we started, it's an extremely saturated market, very, very competitive, tons of different models. And so if you're purely, if we were evaluating a market opportunity for a quick buck, it would not be the industry that we would go into. But we went into it knowing that this is going to be a long-term play and that we were going to stick it out because this is something that we're interested in. So I think that really helped. And then in terms of product differentiation, I think it really helps the fact that I've been using products like this, sleep masks, for so many years. And so it kind of just had sort of developed an intuitive sense in terms of what can work or can't. And what we ended up developing were these eye cups that nobody has tried before and that seemed to have worked really well. It helped a lot with marketing too, because they just look weird, right? Our customers often often say that these look like mini bras for your face because they got these little holes and little cups in them. So I think that sort of weirdness at the beginning stage really helped to attract initial interest. And then after people have tried the product and realize how amazing it is, then that kind of helped us to further the growth in the years later. From a branding and differentiation perspective, a lot of sleep brands out there are focused on, calm, blue, dark, purple, these kind of calming colors. We instead, from a product design as well as web presence and an overall design language perspective, went for something that's very bold. If you go to our website, mantasleep.com, you can see red, blue, bright blue. And the reason for this is because, and this again comes from me being a light sleeper, it's not really about the light sleep. It's about what light sleep can do for you. So it's always, in my mind, the brand positioning is very bold, it's very different. And we want to we want to focus on empowering our customers so that they can do more with their life, they can achieve more. And so it's very much focused on what you can do with a great night's sleep rather than the calming aspect of sleep itself. So that's kind of the branding differentiation.
That's an interesting angle. So rather providing the calming, to calm down the person, you provide them with more energy, basically.
We want them to focus on the energy and what they can do with that energy after getting a good night's sleep. And I think it's quite unique from a branding perspective, as far as I'm aware, where when we first came in, there's just a ton of what you would expect when you think of a sleep company, and ours look drastically different.
Yeah, that's definitely a very interesting takeaway here. That makes sense. I would be curious to know, how do you market your e-commerce store? Maybe if you want to start at the beginning, and what has changed until now. How did your marketing mix look like from the beginning up until today? What is your experience marketing your e-commerce store?
So at the beginning, when we started with the Kickstarter campaign and the Indiegogo campaign, I ran Facebook ads, which was one of the major factors that helped us grow. Mm-hmm. Facebook ads is still a critical pillar, even after iOS 14.5 point update, is still a critical pillar of the business. But we also run ads on Google, on YouTube, and recently just started experimenting with TikTok. So there's definitely a huge paid acquisition channel on the front end.
Okay, yeah. So this is definitely how you attract new customers with paid ads. You said you are you're using different channels. What are your learnings here? You started heavily with Facebook, and now we had the iOS update. Did that impact you guys? What is your philosophy right now? Do you diversify into different ad channels, or what is your thinking about?
Yeah, so iOS 14.5 definitely has changed the strategy a bit. Before, in the years before, it was just increase our AOV to be able to acquire, and LTV to be able to acquire more customers, even though ad costs are going up. Now, I think many people are in the same positions. Many D2C companies are in the same positions as we are, and what we have been trying to focus on, number one, is diversification, because it's quite expensive on Facebook ads. And so going to TikTok, focusing more on Google and YouTube is one pillar of that. The other pillar is to acquire emails, first-party data. So you want to own the relationship. What we had going on with Facebook actually was really, really good. I think we all sort of forgot how good it is. But before Facebook came along, the way that you did it was to run search ads and get emails and get people into your own list. And so rather than running just purely acquisition campaigns, this year we are allocating a certain budget of our marketing spend specifically on acquiring high quality emails through Facebook, and then try to build a relationship using email marketing, and then growing that into sales. And then one other thing I would say is you can try using, which is what we've been doing, some third-party analytics tools. We're using a tool called Northbeam. They basically install a pixel across your website. That really helps with tracking. A lot of times you'll get like a 1.5x ROAS reported in Facebook, but in reality, or at least in Northbeam's reality, it's reported as a 2. So it kind of gives you none of these tools are perfect, but it gives you different data points to use to triangulate what actually is happening, because that's the hardest part, right? You don't really know. The customers are still there. You just don't really know if they're converting or not, but tools like that
Right.
can give you, a secondary source of information to make decisions.
Yeah, from my experience, those tools give you quite a good way to see the entire customer journey, and
Yes.
it comes with a different attribution model because it has multi
Yes.
touch points and multi
Yes.
channels usually until a customer converts.
Yes.
It's
It
interesting.
can be a little pricey, these tools, but
Yeah.
for like it's because they have so many attribution models and sort of, once you get to a certain size, there's the halo effect. And just looking in Google Analytics, sometimes it's kind of hard to tell. You have to use a lot of manual approach to try to guesstimate what's actually happening. So these tools they're not perfect, but they kind of point you in the right direction beyond Facebook ads as well. Because when you're running multiple channels and multiple front end acquisition ad spend, it kind of gives you a overview of what's actually happening in the business, which I find helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. There's always one thing, Mark, when I come across your website. First of all, it's beautifully designed, and you guys put a lot of effort into optimization aspects on your website. How important do you think is the use of UGC, or also known as user-generated content? And since you talked about email marketing, do you want to share or like your idea behind it and how to attract those UGC assets?
Yeah. So we've never done an A/B test to see how like statistically significant having UGC versus not having it is. I've been assuming that it's a pretty important thing that will help with conversion. So we have a collection process, right? Like we have two ways of getting it, three ways. One is through our ambassador program, sponsorship. Like when we sponsor content creators, oftentimes we'll ask them to create UGC. Another way to do it is through our ambassador program. So we recruit our best customers to come in and incentivize them with special deals, gifts for them to create content. And then we also have a sort of like a little discount thing for existing customers who have bought after 2 months or something like that. We send them an email requesting for UGC in the form of ads, in forms of videos and images. And then we use these things in our advertising efforts, so on the website, you'll see UGC. And even though we haven't done a split test, I'm almost certain having UGC is going to convert better than not having UGC. But especially when it comes to our ad efforts, because a lot of these organic content, we can just we can cut them into videos. We can split them in different ways. So that's been really helpful for the advertising effort.
Okay, no, that's a very great share. Before we slowly wrap it up, I have one more question regarding those tactics. In terms of marketing efforts, what have you stopped using due to the lack of effectiveness? Is there anything that you have a learning to share because it did not work out?
Many things, but I think it's very business dependent. So I remember when I was doing Kickstarter campaigns before Manta Sleep, I focused exclusively on PR, didn't do any advertising, and it just was not very successful. And I know what we need to do better, Manta Sleep, is content marketing as well as SEO, which is what we are focusing on. But I don't have a blanket thing where something is not working. It depends on the stage of where you are. Like if we're today trying to scale Manta Sleep from 0 to nothing, I probably would not focus on SEO to start, although some others would. But now SEO is becoming more important of an area to invest in. So it depends on a lot of factors, where you're at, how much budget you have, the timeline, the stage of the company.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Cool. I would like to ask you, in terms of resources throughout the journey, we both agree it's always very helpful to have some, maybe mentorship programs or courses or what. In this regard, do you have any recommendations to people where they can get good e-commerce marketing or e-commerce business education or consultation to grow their business?
There were a couple of things. I think you talked about communities and consultations and experts and whatnot. I think just as a general blanket statement, the eCommerce Fuel Forum is a great place. There's many 7 to 8 figure eCom business owners. I don't know if they accept 6-figure eCom business owners. I don't know. But once you pass a certain stage, you're able to join that community, and it provides a bunch of great resources. I think to go from zero to like a high six figure in terms of revenue, we can probably just do it searching up YouTube videos. There's nothing in particular that comes to mind.
Fair enough. Yeah. Are there any other tips that you like to share for an e-commerce owner to bring their store to the next level?
Something we've been focusing on right now is, before you start a business, it's always hindsight's 2020. But if I were to do this over again, I would sit down and think a bit more about profitability as well as product roadmap and how that would create value for the business. One of the things that our business is not the same, but one of the things I look at, when I look at supplement businesses, I always get very jealous of their reoccurring income and the repeat customers. We're working on creating more value for our customers by creating different accessories that support the overall mission of empowering people rather than just sleep masks. But the higher you can, the higher your AOV is, average order value, the more your lifetime value of a customer is, the more you can spend to acquire a customer, and that's how you beat the competition.
Absolutely. No, that's a good take. So the next time you would do it, you would look more strategically on the product roadmap. To evaluate that and take that into quotation. Amazing. So you already mentioned your website, mantasleep.com. I will put a link below so people can find your product and they can check it out. By the way, I have also like a couple of Manta Sleep masks. I actually wear them every night, so I can highly recommend them. It's great. They're very comfortable. Mark, how can people connect with you? And if they want to get in touch with you?
hello@markzhang.com. So that's hello@markzhang.com. That's my email. And otherwise it's mantasleep.com.
Awesome. I will also add that to the show notes. Mark, thank you so much. I really appreciate, especially having you as the first guest. And thank you for sharing your insights.
Thanks for having me, Marco.
Awesome.